My name is Carol Ortega. Nice to meet you all. I'm the managing director of Misca Capital Group. We represent Latin American accredited investors, both institutions and individuals interested in capitalize the cannabis boom that we are facing today. Today, I have the honor to be the moderator for the investor pitch competition. I would like to welcome everyone that has joined us today. I'm very excited to be here on this webinar where we have 8 investor judges and are joined by additional accredited investors and sources of capital watching from around the world. We have 8 companies that will present today to the judges, and they were selected from over 40 companies that applied. We have assembled a great cross-section of companies that will be presenting today that include both private and publicly traded companies. Let us start by going over today's schedules and the format of the investor pitch competition. The investor pitch competition will be approximately 2 hours long, and our goals are to educate investors about the investment opportunities and connect companies from different industry sectors who are seeking additional growth capital and in the hunt for new investors and sources of capital. Today, we will watch 8 leading innovative companies present their investment opportunities to a panel of experienced investor judges that are seeking investment opportunities and high ROI opportunities as well. At the end of the 8 presentations, we will learn which companies the investor judges like and if they are motivated to invest. The schedule for today's webinar is as follows. Until 1:20, we will be introducing our investor judges. From 1:20 to 3 p.m., we will have company presentations and Q&A from our investor judges. From 3 to 3:20, we will have voting by the investor judges, and you, the audience, will have the opportunity to vote for the company that gave the best pitch, the best presentation. The judges will each vote for one company and tell us why is their choice. We will add up the judges' votes to come up with a total, and the company that has the most individual judges' votes will be the overall winner of the investor pitch competition of today. We will announce the investor judge and audience winner. From 3:15, let's say, to 3:20, we will have closing announcements for our Masters of Ceremony, John. And from 3:20 p.m. until 4:30, we will be hosting a Zoom room networking where you can meet the presenting companies, investor judges, and meet the webinar audience. We hope to see you there. This is a great moment to connect and to take advantage of the networking today. We have a few webinar items to cover. First, if you want to submit any questions, just use the chat button at the bottom of your screen. Please make sure you are sharing with all panelists and attendees. After the final presentation, the webinar audience will be presented by a pop-up window on your computer where you will be able to vote for your number one company pitch or number one company presentation. To the presenting companies and speakers, I will work to bring your questions, questions from the audience. We also recommend that you monitor the chat to answer questions directed to you. So make sure that you put your contact information, your website, and other information that you want to share with the audience today and speakers. As a reminder, we have access to the presenting companies and investor judges information at Cannabis Investing Forum website and also investorhotseat.com. Let's also remember that each company will have 12 minutes to present and answer questions made by the judges. I will introduce each presenting company. It has recommended that companies use 6 minutes for their pitch or their presentation and allow about another 6 minutes for the judges to ask some questions. And that way, all the audience, all the accredited investors that are joining us today will have a clear understanding of the deal. Judges will raise their hands or can indicate that they want to ask a question, and I will allow them to ask the question to the presenting company. Judges are requested to have one question for each presentation and keep answers please at let's say 90 seconds or less, so we can have about 3 or 4 investors judges asking questions for each presentation. So let's start presenting our great set of investors judges, incredible personalities and professionals that have been working on the industry. Let's start with Claudia Mora, Managing Director and co-founder of Black Legend Capital. Please make sure, Claudia, that you take less than a minute to present yourself. Are you here?
Yes, hi, hello, Carol. It's always a pleasure seeing you, working with you. This is not the first time, and I know a few people here as well. Thank you, Brad, as well. So my name is Claudia Della Mora. I'm Managing Director of Black Legend Capital, which is an advisory group, the boutique advisory group based in Los Angeles. We also have offices in Europe and in Asia. My entire background has been in M&A. I'm Italian originally, that's where the accent comes from, but I've been in America all my life. So I was at Merrill Lynch, Bank of America Securities, and then always in M&A, and finally created and started Black Legend Capital 10 years ago, mostly for oil and gas transactions, that's the name. But then we moved slowly but surely from that to cannabis, so from oil to cannabis, from black to green. Currently, in the past 5-6 years, we've covered almost every vertical of the cannabis industry in terms of advisory, capital structures, fundraising, and also M&A. We're in the middle of several M&As right now, opportunities. As you know, the industry is consolidating. We represent companies that are both private and public as well. And on top of capital raises, we also provide business development. Thanks to our international network, we've helped companies distribute or JV with other companies in other continents like Australia or Europe. At the moment, Black Legend Capital is becoming pretty knowledgeable on the international legalization market. So we've been advising companies also for that, how to expand into other countries as well.
Thank you, Claudia, and welcome. Our next investor judge is Clifford Perry, CEO and consultant at Concepts Consulting 2020. Welcome, Clifford. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Hi, thank you very, very much, Carol. It's so wonderful to meet you and everyone else on this panel. Some of you I'm very familiar with by name. Some of you I am very familiar with in person as well. I've been a professional global business consultant for over 45 years, been involved in just about every industry on this planet, although that's at the expense of sounding pompous, which I'm not. That's some pretty big shoes to fill. Started raising money for the restaurant and movie industry, and has been told by just about everyone in the world, if you can raise money for restaurants and movies, you can raise money for everything. So that's basically how I cut my teeth on capital formation. About 13 years ago, I got involved with the first public company to be on the OTC markets. I try not to say anything derogatory, but as we all know, in the early stages of this sector emerging, there were some very unscrupulous operations that went after public vehicles. And I even though I had been CEO of many private companies, I really got an education when I got involved in the public markets. About 5 years, I only lasted with that company 8 months before I was fired because I told them that they were going to wind up back in jail for committing securities violations. They didn't like to hear that, but that did help my reputation, and I went on to open up Cannabis Business University. I've worked very closely with Dr. David before. We have a long-standing relationship and friendship. My co-founder was an advocate for now about 65 years. He was one of the original founders of NORML, National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. His name is Richard Cowan, and Richard was CFO of the second public company, and that's how we met. I reached out to him, and we became very friendly. Richard had a liquidity event when he retired from cannabis science, and we got together in 2014 and said, you know what, let's do it right. Let's do a real public company with real investors and real companies and mergers and acquisitions. And we started out with a little advocacy magazine called Freedom Leaf Magazine. A lot of people told us we were out of our mind, but we were actually using that voice of advocacy to bring people together. Unfortunately,
thank you, Clifford. Let's remember to keep our presentations up to 90 seconds. Thank you. I'm sorry, but I need to keep the time on schedule. We welcome Daniel Barham, Senior Advisor from GB Capital. Is Daniel here with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you, Claudia. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm here to add value. I'm a senior advisor to a private debt company in Bellevue, Washington, JB Capital. I am sourcing deals for the company. We have an interest in the space, and I'm here to meet a lot of great people, not only in the cannabis industry, but other sectors as are represented here. And I'll be in Vegas later on tonight, and hopefully be able to dine with you and get to know you all better in person.
Thank you, Daniel, and welcome. We welcome David Taylor, Senior Managing Director. David, welcome.
Thank you, Carol. Yeah, I think people just heard my talk. We're an investment banking group. Been in cannabis 7+ years doing international work, M&A, and financing. And so, yes, I'll leave it to somebody else to take some more time. Thank you.
Thank you, David, and welcome. Dr. John Thompson, founder and CEO of Extra Lab. Welcome.
Thank you very much. We've put hundreds of people into the business of cannabis production and extraction all around the world, Canada, US, Central and South America, and in Europe and Africa. Any questions along those lines? I'm interested to hear some of these presentations and add value. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, John, and welcome. We welcome Josh Kincaid from C3 Fund. Welcome, Josh.
Thank you. Yeah, with C3 Fund, I'm an equity portfolio analyst. Just presented earlier. Spare time, I have a podcast called The Talking Hedge. I also work with Seeking Alpha to do another podcast with them. And then also have the Super Chronics, which is an advisory firm in the cannabis space. We focus on cannabis finance and data analytics, risk management, and then focus more on strategic partnerships, mergers and acquisitions, and international expansion with strategic partnerships there as well.
Thank you, Josh, and welcome. We welcome Princess, Managing Director from Boosted Securities. Thank you for being here.
Yes, hi there. Thank you so much. And this has been such a great event thus far to learn a lot about what's happening right now in the market. And like I was introduced by Carol, I'm with Sutter Securities Group. We just opened up our offices in Las Vegas to really have a presence in terms of helping folks in this industry. And today we have a very exciting day, an announcement that Flora Growth just did their big bell ceremony ringing over at the NASDAQ. So these are the types of companies that we like to support, as well as we have our own private wealth management connections as well for our customers. So thank you so much for having me, and I'm looking forward to hearing more this afternoon.
Welcome, Princess. Thank you to all our investor judges. We are going to start with our first presenting company. We welcome Peter Kaspar, CEO and founder of Terply. Welcome, Peter. Peter needs to unmute. He is
perfect. Good to go.
Great.
Okay,
There you
awesome.
go.
Let's have some fun, you guys. So thank you everybody for joining us here. My name is Peter Kaspar. I'm the founder and CEO of Terply. And I'd love to start off with a couple of simple truths, actually four. First of which being, this industry is growing massively. I think everybody here knows that already, but according to BDSA, about $150 billion for an economic impact by 2026. Second, data is worth more than gold. The third, cannabis is tested by labs more than water is tested by labs. And fourth, nobody is commercializing this lab data, even though it's from the most important, verified, and trusted source in the industry. Terply aims to change that. We're harnessing this data with a mission to progress the understanding of the relationship between cannabis and consumer and solve for some basic inefficiencies. Primarily the fact that we understand little about how cannabis affects us. Most research is focused on the medicinal properties. Terply is focusing on the recreational properties, which comes to the issue for the producers and brands that they aren't making products for their customers, but how can they? When they have no lens into the customer experience, they're just shooting from the hip and hoping that the consumer will like their products, which comes to the issue for consumers, that they can't predict product effects before purchase, which is obviously very frustrating considering the high cost of cannabis goods, and consumers deserve to have confidence with their purchases. So to understand this problem, we went out to the market to see how deep this ran and came back with some shocking numbers. 73% of consumers rate product effects as their top selection criteria and their top pain point. 86% of brands use gut instinct to determine indica or sativa for the product effects when they launch products in market. 89% of consumers believe that these indica and sativa product labels are ineffective for predicting product effects. Let that sink in for a second. This is a massive elephant in the room that nobody seems to be addressing or wanting to acknowledge until now. Terply's goal and Terply's solution is to bridge this gap. Primarily for consumers, it'll be through a free mobile app where users can get scientific product insights and community reviews to assist with the product discovery process. On the left side, you'll see our first look at one of our product pages to inform the consumer about what to expect from a particular purchase. Additionally, you'll be able to get geofenced, localized product suggestions and discounts to help with the high cost of goods. And with our integrated review system, the more consumer reviews their experiences, the better the recommendations get and the deeper the discounts get. On the B2B side, we're providing a business intelligence dashboard where our customers can get actionable customer and product insights, product forecasting by leveraging other products' performance in the market, and enhanced direct-to-consumer user engagement tools to improve exposure and visibility to their consumers. The impact for this is massive as well. Consumers now have the support from the scientific and cannabis community, get cheaper prices for their cannabis goods, and can finally purchase products with confidence. Retailers can elevate their bud tenders to provide more exposure to products across their shelves, market their products more efficiently, and ultimately improve the patient outcome and customer experience. And then brands can now understand their target market, produce products that their customers actually want, and increase their brand and customer loyalty. And we project this market to be massive, almost $30 billion for the entire world, 20 billion narrowing it down just to the US, 5 billion for just California, with $15 million in Terply's current sales pipeline, with information sourced from MJBD's 2020 fact book. And the competitive landscape is very fragmented. You have the major business intelligence players like BDSA, Headset, and Trees who are covering retail intelligence, but that stops at the point of sale, something that Terply already captures through our point of sale and retail partnerships. Leafly is the next closest competitor for consumers, but they're primarily focused on competing with Weedmaps and establishing their B2B presence over their consumer focus. Relief and Popbotics are the closest for the consumer-facing applications, but they stop short when it comes to recommendations, personalizations, and they primarily focus on the medicinal properties. Terply is here to focus on the much larger recreational market instead, and obtaining valuable market share in the process. The way we operate is also very simple. We analyze lab data from our partnered brands and lab integrators like Confident Cannabis, provide product insights to our consumers to help them with product discovery, incentivize our review system with deeper discounts and reviews, which we then turn into generating consumer insights by leveraging machine learning and AI for deep learning, personalized recommendations, and market research, which we turn into our primary revenue generator, which is our business intelligence dashboard, which is a SaaS monthly subscription model, where customers can understand their markets, evaluate product trends, and access to lab data. We additionally have other short-term direct-to-consumer revenue streams, primarily our product and retailer suggestions, which is similar to a sponsored model, as well as a 5% commission for our affiliate program as well. Financially, we're expected to reach profitability between years 2 and 3, and you can see our CAC and LTV metrics down below as well. And we have an incredible team bringing this all together. I'm someone who actually, as of this week, just graduated from the MBA program at USC Marshall and have dedicated my entire life and career towards the cannabis space. From starting USC's first ever business of cannabis organization to working as a senior associate for Trava Capital, a cannabis SPAC headed by James Parker, the former CFO of MedMen who took them to IPO, who's our lead investor and advisor. We additionally have Alfred Miranda as our interim CIO, who headed up the technology department at MedMen for their IPO, as well as the former CIO of Acreage Holdings too. We have some key hires covering our social strategy, front and back end for product development and UX and design, and a robust advisory team with support from the scientific for science, software development, finance, and partnerships as well. Moving forward, we're looking to raise $1.5 million on a $10 million post-money valuation with the purpose of onboarding our team full-time, expanding for data, marketing, and partnership roles, and managing our operations and marketing expenditure. Terply is here to help consumers find the right cannabis product, and in the process, elevate this industry to a higher standard. Thank you. Open to any questions.
Excellent. Thank you, Peter. Is there any questions from any of our judges right now? Who is ready to ask one question?
Yeah. I have a quick question. Peter, nice job. Do you have any established relationships with testing labs yet, or is that going to be a critical part of your business model?
Yes, we currently have a relationship established already with Confident Cannabis, which we're siphoning for most of our brand relationships right now. And additionally, are in current talks with several other lab integrators right now. So hoping to have many more in the works. Our purpose or vision is to get coverage across the entire lab ecosystem.
Sorry, Peter, what was the name of that group?
Confident Cannabis.
Yep, thank you.
Any other question for Peter?
I do have a quick question about how customers are expected to find cheaper prices. I didn't pick that up. And then in terms of your recommendations, how often people are using that and coming back for additional recommendations?
So in terms of the cheaper prices, that's essentially established through the retail and brand partnerships who are able to give discounts that users can redeem when they're in a dispensary or purchasing online. So that's primarily how they're going to be utilizing those services. And then, I'm sorry, repeat your second question as well. I apologize for that.
No, that's fine. Recommendations and how often people are coming back for additional recommendations.
So all we really have right now is some preliminary testing data, but one of the biggest things that we see as a value add is being able to find an additional reliable experience. So I loved product A. How do I go find a product similar to product A? That's going to be our MVP when we reach the market at first, is how do you find the similar reliable experience ultimately, which we found a lot of interest across our users from initial testing and market discovery.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Peter. Great presentation. Let's moving forward with our next company presenting. We welcome Cesar Passari, the CEO of RYU Apparel Inc. Welcome, Cesar.
Hi, it's actually Rob Blair. I'm the COO who works with Caesar. So I'm going to be kidding today, but I'll give a quick, I'll pull up my slides here and I'll give you a quick intro on me. There we go. All right, cool. Well, first of all, thanks everyone. Thanks for the time. Appreciate it. Quick intro on me. I was pulled into the company 90 days ago. My background, I've been in this space for 2 decades. In a quick overview, my past career has been involved with Lululemon, Nike, primarily athletic sportswear brands. I was the builder of the Lululemon business for men's, and the author of the franchise, the ABC Pant franchise, which currently runs, I think it delivers somewhere around $200 million to the bottom line every year. And the men's business is now tracking just under $1 billion. So great experience there, great learnings. And then I went off to work for the Gap and then work with Nike and building out the Nike Lab model, tip of the spear of the world's best storyteller. So been around the space a long time, met with Caesar, came in. And so what I'm going to give you here is a quick soundbite of where we're at as we're working through our refocused strategy. First and foremost, this is a really healthy industry. The athletic apparel space is considerably growing at double-digit growth, 200+ billion projections by 2025. I think one thing here notable, and we all see it during the pandemic time, people are training at home. You see what the numbers that Peloton's putting up every quarter right now. This is a healthy space, and it's not going away. I mean, health is the new currency of wealth, and it's becoming more prevalent across the board. So really excited about us and the position we have as we go into this space. One of the things to call out, though, when you look at the space of that 200 billion projection, 10 brands dominate roughly 30% of the space. So the likes of the Nike, the Under Armours, the Adis of the world, and then a number of challenger brands. The one piece to really note, though, is what's happening is you're getting this massive amount of undifferentiated product. And what that's doing, it's compromising the experience for consumers. And this is where we see tremendous opportunity in the white space. We're going to cut through the noise and create a differentiated product that really allows us to create space and grow our share of the market. Some of the trends that we're seeing as well, and this is, obviously we're all, astute of what's going on in the world during pandemic time, no surprise, e-commerce has now jumped to being a pretty dominant force within your overall, your sales mix. And, one thing here to note, in the first 3 months of 2000, we're seeing 10 years of combined growth. And that's not going away. Even after a pandemic time, there's a pent-up demand for retail, and we know retail is going to be really important. And obviously, our refocused retail strategy is really key to succeeding. But a critical part of that mix is still going to be e-commerce. And what does that look like from an experiential standpoint? Some of the stats right now show that about 18% of consumers feel like they get a decent experience online. That's a pretty big upside opportunity around your service model, purely beyond what you're presenting as far as a product offering. So we see this as, again, great opportunity. That leads us into one of our big focuses of our refocus strategy, which is creating this ecosystem, this digital ecosystem and integrated marketplace. So we create this seamless end-to-end experience on every touch point of the brand. Really what this allows us to do is speed to market with product, with storytelling, with a narrative. And I think in the last presentation, we heard it front and center, digital or in data, we allows us to kind of start to create this engagement with our community and our sub communities and really developing a good insight into the data, which will ultimately allow us to feed into our ongoing strategy, geolocation of new retail pop-ups, product mixes, and so forth. We're really becoming more intelligent when we move through our seasonal plans. The 4 pillars of our digital ecosystem, commerce, our service model, you look at the utility here, and then ultimately, really what this is going to do is it's going to allow us to kind of create speed to market, really bringing in stronger, more compelling stories, leveraging partnerships that we've got in place right now. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in the coming slides. But ultimately, what it's going to be is allows us to have more agility, be able to move quicker, and create this seamless end-to-end experience, which truly is what consumers are looking for. They're looking for experiential brands. They're looking for ease. A big part of our strategy is about making it easy for consumers, easy to understand, hyper-curated product offering, narrated stories that speak to our male and our female consumer, and also different parts of the market. As we solve as an athletic brand, I mean, I'm sure the question comes up, well, so what's different? We look at run, train, live as our pillars of our business. And we don't just solve for a one category, a CrossFit or a running category. We recognize that consumers are becoming athletic opportunistic, and also the blurring the lines between everyday leisure and clothing and athletics. So we look at this as, again, our opportunity to be disruptive, purposely disruptive, and create a unique expression of product that allows us to create solutions that allow you to kind of move through your day. Continue to focus on innovation, key partnerships for us, working with Noble Biomaterials, Silver, bringing in XT2, bringing in some unique technology in and around volcanic rock, curated product offerings, so very clear and concise. So consumers really, it's easy to engage with the brand. And then being narrow and deep in our product mix. So again, core products feel new at every delivery. So there's lots of depth and variety. And continue to inspire through storytelling. And I'll talk a little bit about the team. Big part of our focus here is really transitioning the brand from being a transactional brand to becoming a brand of belonging. And we know when we see the likes of Lululemon, they've been very successful at this. I was part of that playbook. I wrote that strategy. And we're taking chapters of that and also evolving it to where we are today.
Rob, you have 6 minutes.
I'm at 6 minutes?
For questions, yes.
Okay, so click right through growth path. Again, last slide here, and then we'll jump into some of the key partnerships. Our growth is being paralleled to what we're seeing in the market and also what we know we can do. So conservative estimates, pretty strong CAGR growth based on real numbers, productivity, and then really the team that's going to be able to do it. So strong pedigree within brand building, business people from everywhere from Adidas to some of the leading agencies. So really excited about that. Key partnership, Zoom Media, BEI in the entertainment space, really allowing us to tap into the entertainment world and leverage these partnerships to really drive growth. And then some of like Canada Skateboard and supporting the Olympic team. So lots of demand creation opportunity, product mix, right team and talent, and we're on our way. And our ask is roughly $5 to $10 million based on the partner that we're looking for, which is going to allow us to kind of fund first phase, second phase of our growth plan. Questions?
What's the pre-money valuation?
Sorry, I missed that.
What's your valuation with the 5 to 10 you said?
Yeah, our valuation right now, I mean, we're tracking around, we were at around a $50 million valuation. We'd like to be sitting back there. That's where we see the valuation and where it should be right now. We'd like to see that move upwards of 75 to 100. And again, after we get through year 1, year 2, I feel confident that we'll certainly have the numbers to support that.
Sorry, so when did you go public? You're public in the TSX and seals.
Yeah, no, so we've been public for some time. The exact date, I believe, is somewhere around 2013, I believe. And you know, the brand's been around quite a while. It's had a different, it's been going through a number of different spaces. And again, part of the refocus and part of the reason why I'm here is to refocus the business on a core consumer and an opportunity that has been it just hasn't been able to capitalize on. So you know, we've been public for quite a while. It's had an interesting past. We've had some great success, and it's kind of gone up and down. Right now, what you're seeing is a soundbite to the refocused strategy and the core team, leadership team that's come in.
So how do you can you explain the $50 million valuation, right? And also, what is the revenue so far, the company?
So the revenue is fluctuated. We have, you know, we were at 5.6 a couple of years ago. The business tracked down last year, again, some missteps in the previous leadership in the company. This year, we're tracking around $1 million in revenue, so it's relatively low. But that said, our incremental growth, we're up 128% in e-commerce. Because of the COVID year, we've had our retail doors shut down, so we missed some great opportunity, and the business didn't pivot quick enough into e-commerce. Now the strategy is more balanced. We've got our retail doors open. We've opened up this click and collect opportunity, so to help with our service model, and we've got a refocused e-commerce strategy with some pretty strong players coming in on the retrend strategy.
And what was the revenue in 2018, 2019, pre-COVID?
Pre-COVID, we were, like I said, we were tracking upwards of $5 million pre-COVID, and then it trended down right as COVID hit. So obviously, you know, all the businesses that were retail focused were hit pretty hard. You know,
There was no e-commerce at the time. You started e-commerce.
It was a smaller part of the focus. So e-commerce has been a relatively you know, I'd say in the last 12 months, it's been a core focus of the business. And in part, it hasn't, we just haven't invested as much in e-commerce as we could have and should have. So we've now done that. We're capitalizing on it. We know the opportunity. We know where the future growth is coming from. And we feel confident that we're really positioned to win.
So what's your expectations, your projections for 2021?
2021, we're going to close off the year. Our projection is upwards of 5 million. And as we move through our growth plan into 2022, based on the newness and the increased frequency of deliverables of product, and then our new refocused brand strategy and our partnerships, we're looking at about a $10 million to $15 million 2022, closing off the year. And then when we start to see a bit of a growth spike, we're going to see it in 23 with our refocused retail strategy, where right now we have 3 core doors. In 2023, we're looking at changing the model, being a little bit more disruptive, using the data to help drive geolocated retail doors, smaller footprints, and product mixes that speak to the core consumer in that region. And again, different fulfillment model, and then targeting $1,500 to $2,500 per square foot with more agility at retail. So, you know, that's when we're really going to start to see a spike in our growth plan.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, you're
great
welcome.
initiative, great presentation. Let's welcome our next presenting company. Welcome Davina Kaonohi, CEO of Element Apothec. Welcome, Davina. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Carol, we're doing Joseph first.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Joseph? Okay, welcome, Joseph. Daniluk, CEO at Water Blocks. It's a pleasure to have you here, Joseph.
Sorry, he had a technical issue. His thing just crashed.
Okay.
Marcel. So we're moving on. Is Marcel, did he drop?
Marcel. There you
No,
go.
Marcel Gamma's here, CBD of Denver.
CBD of Denver, Marcel is here with us.
Yes, I'm here.
Welcome, Marcel. Marcel Gamma, CEO of CBD of Denver. Welcome, Marcel.
Thank you. So just let me share my screen with you. So first of all, thank you, Brad, for putting this event together and your warm invitation. Also, thank you to the investor judges, investors from the audience and potential future shareholders for your time today. My name is Marcel Gamma. I'm a CEO of CBD of Denver. We are a publicly traded company trading on OTC market under the ticker of CBDD. My presentation will contain forward-looking statements. Please refer to this PowerPoint just a bit. I'm proud to share with you today our vision, our goals, and to speak to the strengths of our team, who I'm excited to report have recently announced over $24 million in revenue for the trailing 12 months, up from what was essentially a startup company just 2 years ago. I would like to add, much of this was achieved by our team in a very difficult time. As you all know, as much of our growth occurred under COVID lockdowns. When you're looking a little bit on our achievements, we feel we did this in 2 ways. We consider ourselves an essential business in difficult times. We outworked our competitors. Additionally, we have been executing on an accretive acquisition strategy geared to drive CBD of Denver to become the world's largest and most profitable global CBD and cannabis company. We have been able to execute on our strategy because our approach is different than some of the big names you know out there, like Canopy Growth. The talents of our acquisition team are highlighted, our ability to differentiate between making an acquisition for the sake of growth to large revenues versus acquiring a company that increases our global footprint, has cost savings and synergies, and seeks to bring growth to our bottom and to top lines. Any acquisition will be highly vetted by our team and be designed to add to CBD of Denver already strong portfolio of products and services, and continuously help CBD of Denver refine and execute on our cash flow positive centric business model. At CBD of Denver, we don't grow for sake of growth. We grow for benefit of our shareholders. CBD of Denver's culture aims to always be under promise, over deliver organization, and we are proud to report at the end of Q1 2021, we have reported over $7.4 million in revenue. This puts us well ahead over our 2021 revenue guidance of $22 million. I am very proud of our sales and acquisition team for making this happen, large in part during the COVID lockdown. I would like to spend now a few more minutes with you to share our PowerPoint presentation, and afterwards then open the floor for Q&A. When it comes to growth, we intend to continue execute our strategy of finding additional accretive acquisitions, investing in our strong sales force, and we are currently focused on the high growth market in Europe. We are a Swiss-based, grow highest quality product and are proud of Switzerland's long heritage of using CBD to help people. Recent deregulations in Europe and reclassification of cannabis as a non-narcotic by the UN have opened the door to high growth potential and put us ahead as an advantageous early mover in the legal CBD and cannabis markets in Europe. Why should we invest to us? We are trading at historically low price to sales metrics under 2 times our trailing 12-month revenue. Under a $50 million valuation, I know where we are not canopy growth yet. We don't have hundreds of millions in sales yet. So canopy trades at about 20 times revenues. We also don't lose hundreds of millions of dollars. And if we, CBD of Denver management, have our way, we will always strive to be a high growth profitable company with full transparency and are working hard to transition to a senior US trading exchange. We also offer a high degree of liquidity and our share trade in the US OTC market, it's many millions of shares each market day, sometime north of 100 million. So if you invest in us today and your situation changes tomorrow and you need your money, you conduct such highly liquid buy and sell transactions through your broker. However, we hope you join us in our long-term vision to be part of something special as we strive to be a potential leader of the CBD and cannabis public companies one day. I would like to open now the floor for Q&A, and I'm happy to answer some of your questions.
Any questions to Marcel? Let's remember that it's just have one question.
John, yes.
Questions? Yeah.
Hi, how are you? Great presentation. I appreciate that. First of all, congratulations to your team. Great year on your revenue. It's really awesome. It's a very hard thing to do. Was most of that acquisitions, or what was your organic acquisition mix?
No, we already did 3 acquisitions, which let's say we continuously growed over the last 12 to 14 months organically. We have developed the market in Switzerland and in Europe very well. We extended our customer base. Let's say this was really an excellent achievement by our sales teams. And this was, let's say, made it possible to achieve this kind of revenue for the last trailing 12 months for about $24.4 million.
Is that mostly online, or is that brick and mortar?
No, it's let's say we have 3 areas we are active in. We have a wholesale. We are moving large volumes of flowers, isolates, and oil in the European market. Also, biomass is some, let's say, small part of the business. Then we have established our retail business. We have our own shop in the eastern part of Switzerland and the online business. And third, we also have our own production. So when we're looking on how the revenues is, let's say, is distributed over these 3 areas, it's about 10 to 20% in the production, in our own production, about 10 to 15% in retail and B2B. Oh no, in more, 30% in retail and B2B, and about 50% in wholesale.
David, do you have any questions, David? trailer?
Yes, so Marcel, nice job on the presentation. So are you looking to raise capital this year to support acquisitions, and have the acquisitions been all stock?
Yes, we are, let's say, we have a strong acquisition strategy. For us, it's also important when you're doing an acquisition that this acquisition is, let's say, very doesn't fulfill our portfolio, or let's say optimize or does fill some weaknesses or some areas we're not so strong yet, that we can add some more value there. We have now about 3 targets identified. We are currently further negotiating with, and we are quite confident then we can, let's say, announce another acquisition in the coming weeks.
And did you go public just late last year? I'm looking at your chart right now. Did you go public via reverse merger recently?
No, we let's say we took over CBD of Denver about 24 months ago. It was at about let's say 100,000 revenues a year or even less. The company was valued about 1 million at this time, or 500,000 at this time, and we developed it mostly by ourselves over the past 12 to 14 months. With this, let's say, incredible job done by our sales and acquisition team, and also by our management and let's say, yeah, the whole staff, which is really driving in the same direction and makes this possible.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Princess, do you have one more question for Marcel?
Marcel, yes. Hey, this is Todd McKnight, VP of Red Chip. Marcel, congratulations. Those numbers are compelling. What was the highest level your market cap achieved?
Yes, we were over, let's say, we almost at 150. Let's say, I'm very unhappy how the market is treating us now, because I think our team and is doing a great job, but it's not so far really very well, let's say, yeah, honored by the market. So we dropped down again to about 50 million now, but hopefully we can, with continuously showing that we are able to deliver exceptional results, continues our growth, and doing, let's say, wise acquisitions, which are, let's say, value for the company and also for our shareholders, that we can, let's say, move this up again. And yeah, as we have the vision to become one of the major players in the European or even global market. In Switzerland, we already are on the top 5 of Switzerland companies. European, we are very well on the way to go in this direction too. And yeah, looking, let's say, the sky is the only limit, I would always say.
That's very compelling. Congratulations, Marcel, and congratulations to your sales team. I know you've been working hard through the lockdown, and excited to see the coming 12 months and you reach new highs. Thank you, Todd. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Marcel. It was
My
a
pleasure.
great presentation.
So,
And congratulations on your traction. And let's welcome our next presenting company. I would like to welcome Michael Sassano. Michael, are you here with us? Are you ready?
Yep, I'm here. I'm with you. Let me get my screen up.
Thank you, Michael. Welcome.
Thank you. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Michael Sassano. I'm the CEO of SOMI Pharmaceuticals. We aim to be the largest cannabis manufacturer in Europe for worldwide distribution. Our facility, current phase is 34,000 square feet. and can grow up to 120,000 square feet. A little bit about myself. A lot of you in Las Vegas may know me because I'm the founder. I was the founder of Solaris Farms, which recently in 2020 did a merger with the dispensaries, the Sanctuary. And but a lot of you don't know a lot of my other projects. So I've been involved in over 15 construction projects in cannabis over the last 6 years. I've invested and worked with 48 different companies to date. And when you look at Europe, I want you to think about experience matters. A little bit about the European market. I like to compare the EU to the US back in 2017. However, in the EU, there's 26 of the 27 member states are already approved to medical. And there's 50 total countries in the entire European continent. The EU is a global market. And as Boris Johnson recently said, the EU will be the largest cannabis market in the world. And we're going there because it has worldwide distribution capabilities, unlike the US. And that's not really surprising. There's 760 million people on the European continent. And Europe's already going into standardized production with EU GMP, something that the US hasn't done. And you're looking at distribution through pharmacy networks. And they have over 100,000 pharmacies just in the EU alone, 200,000 on the continent. That's 1/4 the amount that are in the United States alone. So what's driving the European market? In December of 2020, the UN rescheduled cannabis to be a medicine, something the US has yet to do. You saw also GW Pharma was bought by Jazz for $7 billion. In fact, you also saw in February, the London Stock Exchange opened up to medical cannabis uplistings. And the last 3 deals, which are very small compared to the US market, startups have reached $100 million market caps. Also, you saw Curaleaf, they paid over $286 million, including investment capital for EMAC, which just a few years ago was a startup itself. The current, when you look at the landscape, you see a lot of giants out there. Tilray, Canopy, EMAC, Aurora. But one thing to keep in mind, all of these companies and their headquarters are actually looking to get into the US, and they're depriving their European counterparts of much needed cash in order to expand later, mostly because, as we all know from 2019, the Canadians put a lot of money into betting on the opening of Europe, and it didn't happen. Well, it's currently going on now. In Europe, you can buy biomass from South Africa, South America, Canada. You can buy products from other countries. You can distribute to other countries. And the problem is they've concentrated strictly on growing. And this is becoming a problem for doctors because they don't know how to prescribe a joint. SOMI Pharmaceuticals only concentrates on producing pharmaceutical grade products like gel caps, drops, transdermal patches. We will create more IP wealth in the company because all our products will be registered as pharmaceutical grade. While others are supporting grows, we're generating IP and registering products. Selling directly to pharmacies requires this kind of standardization. And with over 200,000 pharmacies to reach, just kind of imagine if you had to supply one product to all those pharmacies once a month, or once a week, or once daily, or multiple products per week. Just think about the volume of that and the scale you have to think about. It's not the scale you're looking at when we were developing states and we were looking at smaller models that can scale up. Here, we have to also look, because the market's fairly small at this point in time, to scale up to a global market. We picked Portugal as our hub for manufacturing. And the reason is Portugal's one of the most, not just because we're there, but it is the #1 place to do cannabis today. As I said, our facility can scale up to 120,000 square feet. Notably, we only pay 14,000 euros a month for this location, which is 20 minutes outside of Lisbon, right near the airport, and was a former pharmaceutical distribution center. Over there, we're not looking for, we're looking for people to hire that are PhDs, pharmacists, engineers, QAs, QPs, QCs, and salaries range anywhere from $65,000 for a PhD to $22,000 for an experienced pharmacist. The European culture also is one more of herbal medicine, and they understand extracting from the plants. Whereas the US market, the FDA, is more of a synthetic-based medical market. Obviously in the recreational market, that doesn't exist at all. And we don't need dispensary networks, and we don't have to wait for dispensaries or put capital into dispensaries in order to dispense. We're looking already at well-known the networks of pharmacies that you get anything from your antibiotics to your aspirins from. Our company tracks over 500 cannabis companies in the global space now, except for the United States, for our European venture. We have over 58 biomass supply deals currently today. We have 68 distribution deals with main distribution hubs in Germany, UK, Switzerland, Israel, and Brazil.
Michael, do you have 6 minutes left?
We have an Irish holding company that will carry all of our IP. And let me just try to speed through. We just opened up a new round 2 months ago. We're looking to raise up to 14.8 million. We have $2 million left to go. Our break even was 9 million. We've clearly gone well past that. We expect a London uplisting in Q1 2022. And we expect to break the ceiling on the 100 million valuations of the current listings that are existed right there. We're also a prime target for any US MSO when they pick up their head and take a look at Europe. Okay, anyways, I can cut it off there. Anyways, independent, just to give you just a quick summary of what I've done with this company to date. We turned this company upside down, the model upside down, what current people are doing, or the current, every single company in the EU started by first hiring lots of employees for credibility, buying expensive ground up builds while they were wasting money and capital on their employees, waiting. And then by the time they got done with construction, they then decided to start registering their products and then tried to take a look at sales and distribution. I flipped that on its head. What we did is we tracked every company from the beginning and still do today. We started our registrations and our products before we even started our construction. As we got into our construction, I made sure to time the lease buy of the building to the exact day that I had all of the plans built so that I didn't waste any money on rental while I was going. And we'll hire in the employees later because we know how to run these companies and we know what's needed in order to do it. As of today, we're funded. Investors have an advantage in our company. We have the largest footprint of any EU company out there. That's not words, that's a fact. We're scalable for the global market. We have more experience than the current groups out there or even the starting groups out there. We're stressing IP sales, profitability. We're a perfect target for an MSO. We are going to go public and our reporting is precise. You can see we have quarterly reports as a private company. We put out monthly newsletters and our data room is superior. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Great presentation. Is there any question for Michael from our investor judges?
Hey, Michael, did I miss it? What were the total revenues in 2020 and which geography generated the most revenue?
We're still in construction, so we'll be up and running by the end of the year.
Okay, so what are your revenues expected for 2021?
2021, there's no revenues for 2021. 2022, 1 million, 2023, 12 million, 2024, 36 million.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Do you have any
left
questions? And then
round.
Princess?
How much do you have left of the round, Michael?
$2 million left. 9 million was our break even. We're past that. We just increased it 2 months ago.
Michael, when you said that you were interested in going public, is that going public in the UK space, or does it matter?
We're going to go public on the London, and we'll cross list on the OTC, QB, and CSE.
And what are you thinking about timing for that?
It's Q1 2022. There's not many groups out there that have a significant footprint like ours to go public. So we're quite in demand right now. So we've been talking to all the players out there.
Any other question? We have one more question.
Just a quick question. So you're based a little bit everywhere. I mean, you have distributions. And what about Portugal? Why Portugal? I know Portugal is one of the leading countries. I mean, in Europe, starting with some scientific plan. But didn't they allocate only the license to cultivate in a commercial way to only one company? Are you going to cultivate there?
No. When I talked with Infomed, I told them I wanted a standalone facility. I don't want to make the mistakes of oversupply. There's so many growers. We have so many bio deals. And the number one reason for Portugal is speed to market. Infomed, which is the health authority that regulates medicine, has gotten the likes of Tilray, Cleaver Leaves, EMAC, spent hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in order to educate them as the cannabis products and get those products approved and onto the market. It's number one. It's tops.
Thank you, Michael. That was a great presentation. Congratulations. Let's welcome our next presenting company. I would like to introduce Joseph Daniluk, CEO of Waterblocks. Joseph, thank you for being here and welcome. Are you ready to present?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly and I can see you perfectly fine. Thank you, Joseph.
Very good. Thank you so much. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joe Daniluk. I'm CEO of Waterblocks. And I came today to extend to you an invitation to join us in building a global enterprise to help save lives, communities, and our environment, whenever and wherever disaster strikes. We've patented a new type of flood control barrier system that is rapidly deployable. It's a 4-foot box that has 3 doors on it. One's to automatically let the floodwaters in when they come and fill it up so that it weighs 1,750 pounds. They interlock together. And when the flood is over, you go over, open the front door, let the water out and put them back together. You now have 8 feet of wall that's back into a 4-foot cube, and you put it back in the truck and drive away. It's a replacement for sandbags. We've been fighting floods for the last 2,000 years using some form of sandbag or sand wall. Well, it's not working anymore with the climate change and the severity of storms that are taking place. We need a rapidly deployable new technology that can respond quickly and help these emergency responders protect their communities and the lives of their residents and the environment. These can be used in a number of different scenarios, from construction sites and petroleum drilling sites, and you name any industry, including trying to save wetlands. We have a tool that can do this. And that's the hardware side of our product sales. But more importantly, what we figured out in order to make this scalable, affordable to especially small communities that can't afford the cost to buy this infrastructure, we want to set up an Uber-like network we call the Disaster Support Network and go globally by just putting a little RFID chip inside the barrier. We can rent these out instead of requiring a huge capital investment to create these, because everywhere you look and you see plastic barriers, they're usually used for traffic control. And they usually have holes in them so that forklifts can grab a hold of them and that kind of thing. Well, we did it a little differently so that the water can still be held inside. And that's part of our patented intellectual property. And we want to make a network where emergency responders, government agencies, major corporations, municipalities can all be members on the network and utilize the app that we've already talked to, like Google Maps, to create a new kind of topology program that can integrate with NOAA in order to give people an idea of where best to place their barriers when they have an impending flood coming. We have gone to the largest manufacturing show in North America called ConExpo in 2020 and launched our product. And you can see from the videos that we took there, there's a tremendous interest, not just from the government agencies, but construction companies and all kinds of other people that were at this show. We have momentum. We've been fundraising on crowdfunding on Start Engine. We have over 1,300 investors that have put up about $570,000 just from that offering, in addition to another $300,000-400,000 that we've got from FF&E, friends, family, and everybody else. And so we're at a point where it's time to go from pre-revenue startup into full operations and get our marketing and our production and everything else. In order to make these plastic barriers that are 4-foot cube, I mean, you got to really, until you see one and you're standing next to it, you really can't understand how big 4 foot is by 4 foot by 4 foot. It's a big product. And just the tooling alone, we're going to need about $700,000. I need a marketing staff, and I need all kinds of additional support personnel to make the transition and go into sales. I've got pilot projects pending in California, Texas, Florida, and with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. I need to follow up on these. People will be buying these products by the truckload. There is 416 linear feet in the 104 barriers that are stored inside a 53-foot trailer that, when rented, the renter agrees to store the trailer until we come back and pick it up and take it to the next place. So we have a really great program, and we've got the momentum, and I've got a management team with over 150 years of business experience behind us on the board. I've got 30 board advisors that include owners of all kinds of companies, professionals, attorneys. When we went to the ConExpo show, I needed a staff of 20 people to man the hospitality suite we had, as well as the show on the floor. And I put out a request to my board advisors, all 32 of them, and 19 of them flew into Vegas and spent 10 days with me in Vegas, manning the show and booth. And so
Joseph, you have 6 minutes left for questions.
No problem. I'd like you to take a look at our program and the investment opportunity from a standpoint of making a social impact and helping us create a legacy for future generations, so that our great-great-great-grandchildren aren't still trying to fill sandbags when there's a disaster. But if we don't step in and do something and come up with this technology and bring it to market, we're going to still be filling sandbags. Our great grandchildren will be doing. So I invite you to consider us. Now let me open it up for questions. Thank you.
Any questions for Joseph?
Oh, there must be one out there. Come on, guys and gals.
I know there were some very bad floods in Santa Barbara a couple of years ago. Actually, a cannabis client of mine based there got affected personally. I mean, all the houses there, and there were many lawsuits also against Edison, I think, for something that they did that they should have done. I don't know, like, do you think about, partnering with some big company that, could invest as a way to, not get sued next time there is a flood situation, like a JV with some big company, providing this technology,
Oh, certainly. It just takes time. Claudia, thank you. And you bring up a really good point. If I was in the business that you're talking about, if I was growing marijuana in my backyard, I know that I cannot get flood insurance for that. And what would be really great if I could create a 4-foot or double stack these water blocks and create an 8-foot tall wall around my 45 acres of hemp and marijuana that I'm growing in the backyard that I can't buy insurance on, because then it's protected. And this is just one example of the different multiple uses of this thing. And the problem is for the potential investors trying to get especially with this pandemic, and we've been buried in delays from meetings with the political officials in California and Texas and Florida who can't get a meeting together because somebody's on quarantine or somebody's got a call with the presidents. I mean, 3 times we had conference calls with the governor of Texas and the mayor of Houston, and it's going to big corporations and trying to get them jump on board with this. That's a 12-month undertaking. And so we're out looking for investors. And the reason we did crowdfunding is because my whole concept, and I got a background in finance and worked in the stock market back in the 80s and 90s. And I'm going to tell you that I created this company in such a way that little investors could get a 10 times return, not just the VCs with the millions of dollars. And everybody should be able to not only share in this, but take great pride in the fact that they're doing something for future generations. That's what we're all about. This thing is, we're making a plastic box with 3 doors on it. That's all we're doing. And we're creating an Uber-like network, and all the technology's already out there. All I got to do is go get a white label for the software, and I can turn this on. But I'm not going to do it until I'm adequately capitalized. So I'm here because you guys are here, and I love you all because you're helping make business go.
Clifford, do you have one more question for Joseph?
Yes, I would just basically 2 quick questions. Joe, a nice presentation. Thank you for thinking about humanity and the planet and all of our safety. What is the composition that you're considering or that you're using at this point? I suppose that it's a petroleum-based bioplastic.
Oh, yes. Let me explain. I've been making nuclear waste liners for the Department of Energy since 2006 through a rotomolded plastic process. It's a powdered resin that we put inside a steel mold, heat in the oven for anywhere from a half an hour to an hour, depending on how thick the walls are and that kind of thing. Pull the steel mold out, open it up, and there's the barrier. And that's how we make them.
Okay, I'm wondering, one last question, if you have ever toyed with the idea of using any type of hemp biomass for your product, whether it be petroleum-based, hemp-based petroleum, or a hemp biomass product?
If it's got the longevity, you know, our resin maker in Germany gives us a 20-year warranty on our product. In other words, if I make one of these plastic boxes, take it out and put it in the desert and let it sit there for 19 years and go out and it's got a crack in it, the chemical company, it's the largest chemical company in Europe called NTAC, and that's who we buy our nuclear waste resins from. They now have this new product that they can give a 20-year warranty on. And if your biomass product will last 20 years sitting in the desert, I'd be glad to hear about it, because I'm looking for something that might even be lighter than what we're using with polyethylene. Because right now we're at about 50 to 60 pounds for a box, and I'd like to get that down to 30 or 40. And if I can do it with something that's lighter, that still has the strength, because we've took one of these boxes and we put 3,500 pounds of steel plate on top of it to see if it would hold its structure, and it did. So it has to have a lot of strength. It has to have all the capacity that a polyethylene product. That's why the government uses polyethylene to bury nuclear waste in, because it lasts for 10,000 years.
Thank you, Joseph. Very interesting presentation. And definitely when we talk about cannabis investment and entrepreneurship, we need to talk about social responsibility. So this is great. We welcome our next presenting company. We welcome Stephen, CEO and founder of Moneta Pro. Stephen, are you ready to present and pitch to our audience and investor judges?
I'm ready. I'm gonna do screen share at this point. And
Welcome.
as soon as it loads up here, whoops. We love when the computer's in slow motion here. Perfect. So introducing, did Zoom quit on me?
I can see you and hear you perfectly. We can see you and hear you.
Okay,
perfectly.
perfect. I'm ready to go.
Stephen.
Stephen Me, Moneta Pro. Basically, we're an
Stephen, I guess it did
Stephen,
quit on him.
I think that you're on mute right now, Stephen.
No. He got booted. I guess it crashed on him.
Yeah, I think that's
Saf,
maybe...
are you ready to go? Cool. Move on to Saf.
Okay, let's move on with our next presenting company. We welcome Saf, CEO of iMetal Resources. Welcome, Saf. Thank you, Saf, for joining us today.
Okay. I think
welcome.
you guys can all hear me now. Thank you, Carol.
I can hear you perfectly.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for everybody.
Saf, I cannot hear you well. I think that maybe your internet is cutting off. Stephen, are you ready now?
Everybody was in.
Yeah, I'm back and ready if that makes sense.
Okay.
Zoom had crashed on me.
Let's continue with you until let's give some minutes to Saf. Then.
Perfect. You'll have to
welcome,
re-release
Steven.
screen
Thank
sharing.
You.
Carol, you'll have to re-release screen sharing to me. I think it's still to the other participant.
There you go.
Yep, perfect.
There you go. Thank you, Stephen. Welcome.
And again, thank you, everyone. Moneta Pro, enterprise platform for what's called global corporate barter. We fit under enterprise SaaS, supply chain, fintech. It's award-winning, experienced management team. The target market for us initially, $17 trillion market of what's called corporate barter. This is where the largest companies in the world trade assets with each other. So Ford will trade for airlines, automotive, media. 72% of the Fortune 500 participates, but the problem is it's still a manual process. So in order to trade, you have to identify trade partners, negotiate, track, integrate into the inventory systems, and you have to repeat that each time you want to trade. And the reason it's complicated, people go, why don't you just sell for cash? Well, the benefits of corporate trade is, imagine you're CFO of a car company. Instead of putting something on sale at 20%, spending cash to acquire new items and paying taxes, corporate barter, you trade at full retail, you acquire assets without spending cash, and it's potentially tax-free under some 1099 restrictions and opportunities in the US. So the trade systems need to evolve. There's a lot of consultancy white papers out there saying what a problem this industry is. And it's like the old days of barter. I've got chickens, you've got milk, let's trade. Well, money was created for portability, stability, and audit trails. And that's basically what we built. We built an enterprise level B2B marketplace. Enterprise means divisions and departments, rights and authorities for big companies. They can add products, they can select multiple settlement options, they can search for items. It's a truly B2B marketplace that the eBays and Amazons of the world don't do. We integrated blockchain in. We're not a blockchain company, but we use blockchain in the audit trail and inventory management. So when a major company transfers assets, we write to the IBM Hyperfabric. We can integrate to SAP and Oracle, their accounting modules, transfer the asset record between parties, and write a blockchain contract for audit. And then the solution we built, what makes it a little better, is we created what's called a multi-party trading platform. We built something called a GBUC, a business usage credit. Think of it like a store credit, not blockchain or token or crypto. It's like a store credit in eBay. That credit has value. You can sell an asset, receive credit, and buy something else. So again, now we're creating multi-party trading for a $17 trillion industry. Management on myself, I've had 11 companies. I've taken 3 public on the OTC side. So I understand the micro cap liquidity markets very well. Igor Barash, my COO, took his last company public on NASDAQ. We've got some senior executives out of Sony. Corporate, we've got guys out of BlackRock and Visa on the enterprise side. Dennis Kucinich, former presidential candidate. Go-to-market strategy, very direct. 10 primary industries that trade: airlines, automotive, heavy equipment. So we looked at the largest companies in the world that have a history of trading and targeted our top 10. We're in discussions with about 5 of these right now, and then some others that aren't on this list but fall in that category. Revenue model, we're enterprise software. So there's an onboarding fee, a monthly hosting fee, and a transaction fee off of $1.5 million and up potential transactions. So again, we built a transaction model at a B2B level that the MasterCards, Visas, PayPals don't play because it's outside the credit card network. Value proposition, efficiency, liquidity, and trust. What we bring to the companies is efficiency with an online marketplace, liquidity where they can buy and sell from each other, and the trust not only of a closed network, but the blockchain component is the audit trail to show where the assets are going. Couple
Stephen,
milestones.
are you sharing your screen right now with us?
Yeah, I have been the whole time.
But we are not visualizing your screen, unfortunately. You want to try to share your screen once again?
I can do, it says
Because
sharing,
we would
but I'll
love
do
to
stop
see
share.
your presentation. Everybody's asking, it's very interesting. We would love to see your presentation, definitely.
So I just did share again.
All right. You know, sometimes the internet takes a while. There we go. Perfect. Thank you, Stephen.
Now it's there. And did we lose it again? I don't know why.
Yeah,
we're
I think
having...
that we lose it again. Yeah, perhaps your internet is not that strong today.
No, I'm for a change, I'm actually sitting in Los Angeles.
There you go. Now I can see your presentation.
All right, so without making everybody dyslexic, I'm going to back up and forward through this very, very quickly. The presentation I just gave, this is all very high graphics, so you'll get to see it very easily. 17, here we go, Moneta Pro, enterprise SaaS, $17 trillion industry. Big companies like Ford already trade with existing partners. Average company, Fortune 500. The problem is it's one-to-one, so it's manual. They have to do it. The reason they don't sell for cash is in the trade world, you trade at full value. You can acquire assets without spending cash and it's tax-free. So there's some advantages to corporate trade, but it's still complicated. Big companies talk about it, consulting firms. It's like the old days of barter. Moneta, the word moneta comes from money, the seashells. We built an enterprise marketplace. So we've got divisions and departments and rights and authorities, customized home screens, the ability to search and find and acquire assets. We built blockchain in for the audit trails. So we integrate into SAP and Oracle. And then we built multi-party trading. We built a system where a company can list assets, trade it, receive what we built called a GBUC, a business credit, use that credit to buy other assets. So it acts like a currency within a closed marketplace. Executive management team, I've had 3 public companies. We've got guys out of corporate. We've got guys out of Visa, blockchain guys. Go-to-market strategy, these are the top 10 industries that we target. These are some of the companies we've targeted and are in discussions with. Revenue model is enterprise, SaaS, and a transaction. Value proposition, efficiency in the marketplace, liquidity, trust with the blockchain. Couple milestones, we've won 8 contests around the world in blockchain, more than any other company. These are discussions we're having. It's kind of our little, roadmap. We signed a company called Artis. We brought Shepard Mulling in for some IP filings around the blockchain solution. We've got a private label opportunity. We've got an arc of exit. So we believe we are an acquisition target across these multiple groups for different reasons. And we can go through that with anybody that's interested. Current offer, systems are complete, experienced management team, the product's built, integrated with IBM. We're looking at 5 million. So we're doing a pre-series A. We're not quite in revenue mode yet, but the software is built. We're doing a $5 million pre-series A to move to revenue. Milestones we've already hit with management team, software in place. And then we do a little comparison to Amazon, where Amazon's a marketplace for B2C, we're a marketplace for B2B. So that was running through the presentation twice in 7 minutes.
That's great. Stephen, this is great. Great presentation and tremendous initiative. Is there any questions for Stephen?
If not, I'm going to answer one more thing. I don't want to confuse anybody, but because I've had 3 public companies, we do work in crypto. I actually help write the laws in Malta around blockchain and tokens and virtual financial assets. We have a dual liquidity strategy. I don't want to go too in depth, but basically we have an equity component we're doing on the 5 million. And then we have what I call a liquidity token that's about to be listed on a global crypto exchange in Dubai. So we've got a dual liquidity path. I'm actually doing a direct token offering through a global crypto exchange, which is similar to a direct public offering in the US. Rather than going public on the OTC market, we're going to accelerate public on the crypto market internationally, and then still have an equity strategy in the US for acquisition. So I've got a dual liquidity strategy that's extremely unique within the industry. So anybody that's interested in the crypto token side, we've got a unique aspect that gives you both equity and a liquidity token to accelerate your exit.
Thank you, Stephen. Josh, do you have any question?
I do had a question about working with the Department of Financial Institutions in New York and Washington State being the number one, number two most difficult areas to work in the U.S. Curious about roadblocks in terms of getting approval for being able to barter. I think there's an opportunity with whether it's eBay or whatnot. There's a lack of trust with Facebook and Craigslist. So I think with blockchain and having the payments and everything being transparent and available is an awesome opportunity. However, where are you at with potential roadblocks and getting approved state by state or federally?
So I'll answer that, Josh, in three ways. One, there is no approval needed. All we're doing is facilitating corporate barter. These companies are already doing off-book transactions. They're just not effectively tracking it. So we did go to the IRS and said, where do we fall? The IRS already has a 1099-B, a bartered or brokered transaction that needs to be accounted for equal party transactions. If that is done under a barter exchange platform, which is like the small business barter that exists in the US, that barter exchange legality rule allows you to transfer assets, earn a scrip, and only be 1099 on the accreted value at the end of the year. So barter for small business is like QuickBooks and Amazon and your local restaurant. Corporate trade exists under the same IRS rules. Nobody's, to our knowledge, has built an enterprise platform. And when we went to the IRS, we are going to 1099 the companies based on the value at the end of the year. So there will be tax implications if there's a balance. But over and above that, all transactions are written to a blockchain for audit trail. So it helps the enterprise not only have audit capability for their transactions, but the IRS would then also have transparency into an industry. IRS thinks there's about $1 trillion or more of off-book transactions in the US that are unaccounted for because they can't track it and can't really audit it. So when we did go to the IRS, we didn't go to Treasury because we're not a Treasury component, but the IRS likes what we're doing because we potentially bring audit capability into an otherwise, austere market that's buried on the balance sheets. And then same thing with two countries. We're in discussions with Kuwait around what they call swaps and flips, where Kuwait's trying to figure out how to potentially integrate our market because we're a closed platform and everything's trackable and audit trail. So there's some compliance things we bring in, but otherwise we don't fall under Treasury. And then with the token we're not selling, so we don't fall under the SEC's misguidance right now. We're gifting the token to the investor and we hold it in a Treasury wallet in Malta. And the investor can take possession at some point in the future whenever guidance is clear for the US investor. So I separated the legality out on both the token side and the IRS side.
Thank you, Stephen. John, let's move on with the last question for Stephen, please. Thank you.
Amazing presentation, great presentation, and really appreciate it. Just a quick question. I was wondering, what is the value of a fully depreciated asset? I assume that this is what is being bartered.
No, you know what, John? It's a complicated and yet simple question. Let's take it real quick. If you own a car, you're the CFO of Ford, your asset depreciates every day. And at the end of the model year, you could put it on sale for 20%, sell it and still pay taxes, or you could call a computer company and trade the assets at full retail value. So you might have a depreciation in the normal market, but within the trade market, if I've got cars, I'm not going to call you and say, hey, John, give me a discount on computers. I'm going to say, my cars are $1 million full value. I'm going to book that in EPS revenue. You sell me your depreciating computers at full value. If I price them lower, that me as the seller is my discretion of what to price them at in the marketplace. But I also now have transparency of other products that are listed. So if I put an asset out that's overpriced, it's not going to move in the marketplace. It's like putting a computer in eBay for $3,000 when the market variance is $1,000. So we don't get involved in pricing, but it's It's an interesting market at full retail transaction. The other one real quick is simple. What's called a terminating asset. Shipping companies, when the ship leaves the port, you can't resell capacity. So Maersk, DB World, these guys try to trade that capacity out because if they don't trade it, or a hotel room, you know, you've got an asset you can't resell. That's a depreciating asset on a daily basis. There's a different motivation for the service industry, food, shipping, media. Those conglomerates are a little different. So there's motivation for different industries based on how they want to use the system. Or a lot of them are already doing this trade. We're not inventing it. We're just trying to help them automate it.
Incredible, Stephen. Amazing. Thank you for your great presentation and best of luck. And definitely this is going to
Thank you. And sorry for the technical delays. We'll blame it on Zoom.
Incredible. Thank you so much, Stephen. We welcome our next presenting company. We welcome Saf, CEO of iMetal Resources. Hello, Saf. Welcome to Investor Hot Seat. Are you here with us? There you go.
Unmute. Okay, Carol, we'll try this again. You can hear me okay now?
There you go. I can hear you perfectly. I can see you perfectly,
okay.
And I can see your presentation.
Nice. Okay.
You're ready to go.
Thank you. iMetal Resources is a junior Canadian mining company. I'm based here in Vancouver, British Columbia. I've got the ticker symbols on the first page. I won't go read them again. As we're a public company, we're going to have some forward-looking statements. There's our usual disclosure. So I guess I'm a little bit different here. There's been different types of presentations, mostly on cannabis. Looks like I'm the only mining-based company. So really, I guess the first question is why invest in iMetal Resources? Well, there's about 1,500 plus junior mining companies listed on the TSX Venture. We've got about half a dozen projects, 5 actually in Ontario, 1 in Quebec. And Canada, if you don't mind, is the 3rd most attractive mining region in the world, with Ontario coming in 2nd place, only behind Quebec. And of all the provinces and territories in Canada, our portfolio of projects are spread out basically under 2 greenstone or gold belts. The first one being the Abitibi Greenstone Belt, which would represent, if you can see my cursor, the 2 red tags to the east of the map. And this Abitibi Greenstone Belt hosts some of the largest mining companies actually in the world. But some of the camps that are based out of this region are Noranda, Kirkland Lake, Val d'Or, of course, in Quebec. Detour Lake would be one of the largest newest discoveries over the last several years. And our focus really with these 2 projects is in a smaller, a little less unknown mining camp called the Shining Tree Camp. The second region that our other 3 projects that we acquired earlier this year are in what's called the Beardmore Geraldton Greenstone Belt. This was actually thrust into the limelight at the ending of last year when one of the most well-known successful Canadian mining billionaires, Ross Beatty, through his Equinox Gold, took out a major position in a project called the Hard Rock Project, and he acquired 50% of it for just under 700 million Canadian. The company is spearheaded by myself. Of course, I'm the president and CEO. I've brought on Tim Henneberry, who has a 46 plus year colorful career that spans the globe, and he's been involved in a number of very successful junior companies as well. One of the milestones again is that we earlier this year formed a strategic alliance with Riverside Resources, and that's how we acquired these 3 assets in the Beardmore Geraldton Belt. Riverside Resources is another Vancouver-based Canadian mining company that's listed on the TSX Venture, and it's headed up by a gentleman named John Mark Stouty. And I'll talk about them in one of the follow-on slides. So I just really want to, again, each slide, I think I'm going to try and not get too technical, but at least kind of give you an idea of where we're at and why we're here and what's differentiates us from, you know, a lot of the thousands or hundreds of junior mining companies. Again, we're in the greenstone, two of the famous greenstone belts of Canada, with the Abitibi Greenstone Belt hosting our two projects here in black, the Gauganda West and Ghost Mountain. This Abitibi Greenstone Belt, since the very first discovery was made back in 1901, it has produced well over 200 million ounces of gold, over 400 million ounces of silver, and 15 billion tons of copper and 35 billion tons of zinc. There's 21 distinct gold deposits in this belt alone on the right-hand side, and it has a number of 3 million plus ounce deposits, some of which I've listed here. And this gold and silver, these minerals that make up the past production, were produced from over 100 different mines. Again, the province, as well as this region, hosts some of the largest companies in the world, some of the largest Canadian companies for that matter, and Kirkland Lake Gold, who basically is based here by Kirkland Lake. That's how they were founded on this discovery here. And Newmont, which happens to be the largest mining company in the world, also has a very significant presence here. We are, again, as I said, our flagship project is Gauganda West. We sit next to what's called the Juby deposit. The deposit is roughly a 2.2 million ounce gold deposit. And the reason why I've got Ghost Mountain here as well is this is right next to what's known as the Holt Holloway Mine Complex. This is owned by Kirkland Lake Gold, and they were in the news just late last year as well, where they formed a strategic alliance with the largest gold producer in the world, Newmont, which is part of the merger with Goldcorp. But Newmont and Kirkland Lake, they have formed a strategic alliance to get this Holt Holloway Mine Complex, which sits next to our claim block, $75 million investment to get this back into production and increase their production. Coming a little bit more into the Shining Tree Camp itself, this slide here kind of really shows you a little bit of the geography of this really underexplored camp, the Gauganda camp, which would be down here. But as you can see, this slide kind of really gets to show you the north and south trending faults, which run specifically through this camp. And as if you notice that there is quite a cluster that goes southeast, northwest, right through where our flagship property is based. Again, here is a snapshot of the Juby deposit. And right next to us, this is about an hour and a half away, Timmins. Timmins is a small town that was founded on the success of mining. It's also, not sure if everybody's—
You have 6 minutes left.
Okay, I will try and speed up through this. So our plan is really to unlock this undeveloped Shining Tree Camp known as Gauganda. Quickly go into where we are specifically. This map kind of shows you, again, I think I might have started off, if I didn't, we're a $5 million market cap, Canadian dollars company, and we are surrounded by a number of very successful junior and mid-tier producers. Some of the companies around us, some of our peers, their market cap ranges 10 to 20 million. But one that is of real significance for us is, of course, and we share a border with them, is a company called Eris Gold Corp. Eris is actually on the TSX, the senior board in Canada. They're roughly a $350 million market cap. They are backed by another very successful billionaire miner based out of Vancouver, Frank Justra. He's put together a world-class team, and it's now chaired by ex-chairman of Goldcorp, Ian Telfer. They have just initiated a 10,000 meter drilling program, and just north of them, and we share a border with this other company, Ore Finders. They are roughly a $10 million market cap company. They have just kicked off drilling in the last 60 days. And in the last 30 days, it was announced that one of the mid-tier majors, Kirkland Lake Gold, a $15 billion market cap company, has just invested $2.5 million by way of an equity investment in the company. And they have committed to acquire up to 75% of this project for 60 million Canadian over, that's a work commitment over the next 5 years. So this is really starting to show you that, you know, for a $5 million market cap company, we're kind of in a hotbed of activity, and we're looking to basically kick off our exploration in about 60 to 90 days. The next few slides, I think, get a little bit too technical, so I won't really go into that. We have had about half a dozen holes that we've drilled on the property. We've had a number of grab samples. All indications have confirmed mineralization on the property. We've had grab samples as high as 56 grams per ton.
Thank you, Saf. Any questions?
Oh, that was fast.
From our investor judges?
Can I just quickly add that I'm in the middle of a $2 million Canadian equity raise. We just announced that on Tuesday, and the plans are to use these funds to basically commence on a 2,500 meter drill program at our flagship property, Gauganda West.
Thank you, Saf. Claudia?
Yeah, so quick question. Did you do already the reserves reports? They're called differently in different regions of the world. I used to call them JORC in Asia. So did you do all the reserve reports already?
Well, our property still doesn't have a proven resource. That's what the money is going to be used for. So we've done a grab sampling, has confirmed gold mineralization. I don't think I can go back to the slide, but if anybody wants to, connect with me afterwards, I think I can go over that. But that's really what this whole drilling program is going to do. It's going to set out to confirm a resource, develop that resource. There's talk of potential further M&A in the region, and we basically want to confirm what we have before we even talk to any of the mid or majors in the area.
So you're raising capital mostly to do this,
Yes.
do like the reserve. And then what's the plan? Do you want to sell it once you prove the reserves to a bigger major company?
Yes. Sorry, Claudia, that's a really good question. You know, I can't really answer that until I know what I have, and I won't know what I have until I commence further drilling. We actually partnered with Riverside for a couple of reasons. We acquired those 3 portfolio projects, but they have a world-class technical team. They've worked with Teck. They are currently working with BHP, 2 of the majors, and we actually just had them on our property in the last 3 weeks, and we're awaiting about 100 samples from their first work program that they've performed on the property. So we're excited about, moving our relationship forward with them. And again, I really want to reiterate that I don't think we're ready to talk to anybody yet. We own this property 100%. We own all the claims. We've got the NSR. We've got an option to acquire these 3% NSRs down to 1.5% anytime prior to going into production. I'm not a geologist by trade. I've been involved in the capital markets for 15 years. I've helped grow another natural resource company. It was actually an independent power producer. I helped grow it from $2.5 million market cap to its peak of 300 million. By the end of the 12 years, it was actually producing about 40 million in revenues, and that's in US dollars. That company was called US Geothermal. We ended up doing about 100 million equity financings. I worked hand in hand with the founding director, who also was the CEO, and he also at one point was the CEO of Ivanhoe Mines. So I think you'll see in the next few weeks and months to come, we want to close our financing, commence our drilling in the next 60 to 90 days. And I think you'll be seeing that I'll be adding more at the management and at the board level, more technical expertise.
Thank you, Saf. Interesting opportunities beyond the cannabis industry is always valuable to, to diversify our portfolios, great presentations, stuff. We will continue with our next presenting company, our last presenting company. We welcome Davina, CEO of Element Apotec. Welcome. Davina, are you here with us?
Hi, how are you doing today?
Hello, welcome, Davina.
Hi, I'm working on sharing my screen, and thank you for the flexibility today. My internet went out, fun challenges of working from home, but I hope that everybody's having a good day today. So can you see the screen?
I can see the screen, I can see you and hear you perfectly.
Right.
Thank you, Davina.
I hope everyone's having a great day. And Brad, I really appreciate you putting on another incredible event. I'm Davina, the CEO and co-founder of Element Apotec. Element Apotec is a mission-driven brand creating high-quality CBD wellness and body care products. Using the healing power of nature and innovations in science, we help customers live a better life every day. Element Apotec launched just over 5 months ago, and we already have a growing base of passionate customers and exciting retail partnerships, typically reserved for much more established brands. Our customers love us and retailers want to work with us. Part of the reason we are excelling right now is because of the problems that exist in the current market. There is a lack of trust in this space due to limited regulations, with so many bandwagon brands and white label products using toxic and harmful ingredients with little medical oversight and a lack of innovation. Also, there's a lack of education, with 70% of consumers not even understanding what CBD is or the endocannabinoid system. Element Apotec was started from the ground up due to a need for safe and clean products. We were born in a kitchen, not a lab. When nearly a decade ago, my great aunt couldn't find safe products to help her symptoms from multiple medical conditions and life stressors, she created products that helped her and countless others. Today, those time-tested formulations have found new life as we partner with integrated practitioners and bring them to the world. Element Apotec will be a market leader by competitively differentiating ourselves to become a trusted brand. In everything we do, we are actively designing for the qualities of trustworthiness, as shown through our certifications, our commitment to clean, high-quality products, our pending B Corp status, and our commitment to sustainability and radical transparency. Additionally, by working with a regulatory advisor, we are exceeding compliance regulations and preparing for any future regulatory legislation. And with our commitment to consumer education, we empower consumers with the knowledge to live better lives every day. We are leading the market with our doctor-driven functional formulations using CBD and other minor cannabinoids like CBG, CBN, and plant-based remedies. And we continue to develop new products to address specific health concerns and challenges. We have an incredible team to lead this charge, starting with myself, with 20 years of experience in leadership development, startup strategy in the recruiting, tech, and B2C space. We have our Chief Scientific Officer, Dr. Swati, an integrative pharmacist, published clinical researcher, and a CBD medical consultant. And David Crowther, who's our COO, with 25 years extensive experience in media and operations. And all of this is supported by our advisory board to give us the advice and guidance we need in their respected areas to lead our company to success. And as you know, the market is expanding rapidly. The CBD market is expected to expand to over $16 billion. Sorry, I lost my voice. Currently, the top 20 companies make up only 17% of the market. And as a result, we have an opportunity for exponential growth. Based on our business model, we have a reachable goal of $54 million with our unit economics of 3-to-1 and averaging of our, sorry, I have lost my train of thought, sorry. Our business model incorporates both B2C and B2B, as well as subscriptions. We really understand our customer and we plan to reach them through multiple marketing efforts that include social media, PR, content marketing, as well as digital marketing as well. We are just kicking off some of these efforts again as we just launched our sales in December. And how does Element Apothec stack up? Although the space is extremely competitive, Element Apothec really stands apart from the leading brands with our doctor-formulated products, commitment to clean and safe ingredients, our focus on education, and our positive impact in the world. Having just launched our products, we have some incredible traction and validation already. We have commitments with retail partners. We are really proud of our exclusive partnership with Verde Farm Health, a medical GPO group, giving us access to 1,400 clinical doctors, as well as participating in clinical studies. We have certifications and other partnerships that give us access to really great communities. And we understand in this space that there is a lot of opportunity for mergers and acquisitions. That's where we really intend to have our exit strategy. We are currently raising $500,000 through a convertible note with a $4 million valuation, a 10% discount, 7% interest. We expect this will give us a run rate of approximately 1 year to continue to meet our goals. Element Apothec is really the promise of better for all. Thank you so much.
Great, Davina, thank you. Is there any questions for Davina?
Davina?
Yes.
So with regards to raising capital, do you have the strategy as far as what the near term and long-term needs are to get you to 54 million revenue number?
Yes, correct. So we're really looking to raise this money. A lot of it's going to be obviously spent, as the slide said, on marketing, as well as inventory to be able to keep up with the demands of the retail partnerships that we expect, as well as clinical trials that we're starting. But we expect this will really give us that opportunity to be able to expand and to gain the brand awareness and traction that we need to be competitive in this space.
Thank you.
Hi, Davina. John Thompson here. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Great presentation. These brands, they just seem to get better and better. And I'm sure you guys in a couple of years will be very, very good. I've heard stories like this where people start from nothing and 2 years later, they're talking about a $20 to $30 million brand primarily online. So what you're saying is right on the money. I like the brand. I like what it has behind it. So I wanted to say that right out front. Are you guys going to primarily do the consumer part of it, the branding part of it, or are you looking to are you also looking for manufacturing, or what's the deal?
Yeah, so currently right now, I mean, we do manage all of the formulations. They were developed internally. We're continuing to develop products. We're actually in partnership with a couple companies to develop products with them through licensing as well. In terms of manufacturing, that's something that we will look to potentially expand to. Currently right now, we work with a manufacturer co-packer to produce our products, but depending on the cost and where we grow, that might change. So that's something that we're not taking off of the plate, but for currently right now, we're working with a co-packer and really looking to manage all of the brand and product formulations, marketing, sales.
Thank you, Davina. Great presentation. Well, that we have concluded our presenting companies. It's time now for your vote. Judges will each select one company to give their vote to, and a pop-up window is now available on your computer screen where the audience will be able to vote for your number one company presentation. If you are visualizing the pop-up window now. Please make sure you choose the company that, in your opinion, made the best presentation pitch today. Make sure you vote. While our audience is voting right now for the best presentation, the best pitch of today's companies that have been joining us. Let me ask each investor judge what is their vote, what was the presentation and the pitch of their preference. So, Claudia, what company was the best presentation of today's investors hot seat webinar?
Sorry, yeah, they're all obviously every company had their benefits, and so everybody presented very well. But the two companies that stuck to my mind, actually two, are CBD of Denver and SOMI Pharmaceuticals, and that's because I'm very much inclined in the pharmaceutical side, but also because I'm very interested in the international market as well. So when I see these companies as being part of the international market as well. So
let's pick one company, Claudia.
Oh,
which
okay.
one was your favorite?
Okay, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's say SOMI Pharmaceuticals.
Okay. Clifford, what was your favorite presentation of today's webinar?
Well, I totally agree with Claudia in that both companies, CBD of Denver and SOMI, are of my interest, being that I cut my teeth in the CBD consumer product and am in transitioning into APIs for pharma. I'm already very, very heavily invested in Europe. I am in love with Spain and Portugal. But I am going to choose, it's a very tough decision, but I'm going to choose CBD of Denver, and I cannot click on the investor pitch competition for some reason, but that's who I would vote for.
Great, thank you. Daniel from DV.
Yeah, I have to agree with both judges there, and my vote's for CBD of Denver. I think they have a lot of runway. They have a great team, and you're betting on the jockey as much as the horse, right? I think that the jockey there is pretty darn. He knows what he's doing. So that's where I'd place. That's where I'll place my money.
Okay, great, thank you. David, what was your favorite presentation of today?
So I'm also looking, well, first of all, Carol, nice job today for you yourself. You've done a great job of moderating a very difficult thing with a lot of technical glitches, so good job. But the investor pitch competition, the voting thing pop up, it doesn't seem to be active. So are you asking two questions, who I'd invest in and who had the best presentation?
Yeah. Well, where would you like to place your investment? I think is the
I think looking at all the presentations, I think all the presentations were very good. People were able to put points out very well. And I think when you said, who would you invest in today? I think that's the key thing to me, because I would probably at a point in time in the next year invest in all these companies. But I think people put out very good, reasons for what they're doing. Moneta Pro and the water blocks. I mean, they're going after markets that, I think will be successful at some point. But I would probably CBD of Denver, just because I looked up the financials of all these companies that are public, and it just seems like there's a disconnect between the market cap of the company and the revenues. With 25 million in revenues in Europe is pretty impressive. So that's a long-winded answer. Sorry.
Thank you, David. Dr. John Thompson, where would you like to invest today? You're on mute.
Yeah, here, hi.
Okay,
Hi,
there you go.
everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, so we see CBD companies every day, Europe, all over the world, Asia, South America, Central America, US, Canada, all over. And we get kind of a similar investor pitch. I think that what you guys are saying about CBD of Denver, really great. Their revenue numbers are great. They got a team that can obviously execute. I love that. The Sonami Pharmaceuticals with Michael is also really great. It sounds like he's really got a good momentum going there. But I am very, very partial to software, so I would have to go with Terply. Sorry, guys. Even though I'm all about the CBD world, I really have a lot of big partiality to software. I think it's a really great investment, especially to get in on something at the ground like that. You got a team there who is obviously very motivated, and so I really appreciate the Terply guys. Yeah.
Great. Josh, where would you like to place your investment from the companies that you hear today?
So I've got 8 criteria, taking lots of notes today, and so based on just the criteria that I kind of put out here, Terply had the highest score. Just like John mentioned, the tech I really like. So Poseidon Asset Management, I'm surprised they haven't picked them up already, haven't already invested in Headset. Right off the bat, I was like, well, what's the difference between Leafly? And he kind of went into the secret sauce and what makes them different. And then that's when things kind of got a little bit more interesting for me. I think the data is phenomenal. I think there's opportunities there and a lot of integration opportunities. So I would definitely look at that data with Terply as my bet.
Okay, great. Princess.
Yes, for me, it's also a mixed bag, but looking at what we've done in the past over at Baustad and Sutter, our focus and sweet spot likes to be in the middle capital markets. So when I'm looking at CBD of Denver and Sonami Pharmaceuticals, I'm really liking the revenue levels that CBD of Denver has been able to position. And especially through an acquisition process, not an easy task. I've seen other companies over in Europe as well, trying to do similar things, trying to position themselves, and they get stuck without having not only the strong management, but also just some really good target identifiers. So I'm a little curious about who those targets are for the future of CBD of Denver, but I'd love to have that conversation offline. And continue, but that's who I would go with.
Thank you, Princess. Todd, where would you like to place your investment today? You're cutting out, Todd.
Good job today.
We cannot hear you well, unfortunately.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
No, yeah, better. Maybe if you turn off your video, maybe we can hear you better.
I have to take off in this here. I'm going to see it well.
Okay. CBD of Denver, right?
Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Okay, so I think that judges have voted for CBD of Denver. So the winner of the judges both will be CBD of Denver, and now I can see the results on our attendees, and Terpley is the winner of our audience preference. So congratulations to Terpley to win the audience vote, and congratulations to CBD of Denver, Marcel. Congratulations, you win our judges preference.